All right, great. We're live. Adam, so great to see you on video again.
Brilliant. Yeah, let's make this work and just let's see what feedback we can get.
Episode 8, Discussions Across the Pond. I am pleasantly joined by the infamous Adam Sedgwick and the very, very, very well spoken of Erwan Lecocq at WINSTOngolf. I know it's really kind of mind-boggling. He is actually from France, but he works in Germany, and I've been to neither. So, Erwan, pleasure to have you on again. And we're going to get into some pretty heavy discussions and topics. Doesn't even really revolve around golf much, or turf grass for that matter. Adam, thanks for joining us at the last minute. Driving home, says, hey, I got to talk about this topic and get it out to the masses. We're going to talk about mental health today, and it's a topic that I think if you really think long and hard about it, it's a topic that I think just about anyone has experienced, whether personally in their own life or has a loved one that they have had to come up alongside and be ever present with. So, Erwan, pleasure to have you on, and I'm opening the floor up to you and allowing you to speak from the mind and start the conversation off.
Thanks for having me, Jason. So as you say, I'm Erwan Lecocq. I'm head greenkeeper at WINSTOngolf in Germany, but I'm French, so my accent sucks. I'm sorry. Mental health is a subject close to my heart because most of you know here, but I am diagnosed with bipolar disorder type 2. So that means I have a mood swing between manic and depressive episode, a severe depressive episode. It's a non-curable illness. So I've done all my life with that, and I will do all my life with that, and it impact me, but my work, people around me, impact a lot of people, not only me, but a lot of people around me.
It's the way the world's been this year, Erwan. This is one of the reasons bringing yourself in. It's sort of, I understand bipolar quite well. My partner's bipolar. And then the world's been going through this great pandemic that everyone's a little bit bored of talking about, but it's increased the stresses on everybody. And so when it comes to the turf industry, just bringing turf into it a little bit, it's sort of, turf comes with its own stresses, its own diseases, its own illnesses. And as a turf grass manager and turf grass professional, all of a sudden, the stresses and the pressures can lead on to other hidden illnesses in the human. And this Saturday just gone was World Mental Health Day. And I think that's why it's so important for us to do this video and this subject this week. Just to give our little opportunity to the few viewers we get to raise their awareness. And I think if you can just raise one person's awareness to the fact that so many people live with a hidden illness or hidden struggles on a day-to-day basis, we've achieved something. So can you explain to us what your feelings are? There's no easy answer, I know, but how do we start to try and help people understand that people can be suffering from a mental health issue that doesn't look to anybody else like it's affecting their day-to-day life, but inside they're struggling? Are there any key signs that we can make people look for to help them understand a little bit more?
Well, that's a good question. If I have to say that for the most normal people, a good sign that will be a sudden change in relation, like if someone was always close to you and then suddenly take his distance, that's one of a good sign. same, like if you notice that he's coming late, if he's working extra hour, it's a very good sign. People that stay at work very long to avoid to go back on their life to the time where they will think of that bad ideas. That's a very big sign as well. Someone that work too much or not enough. That's really the first three sign: change in mood, extra hour, or not working enough. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and another big thing is acceptance, because the mental health awareness through a lot of the charities that work with this subject in the last 5 to 10 years has increased in visibility 1,000-fold. Before this 5 to 10 year period, a lot of mental health illnesses were either unheard of, they existed, but they hadn't been identified or named, and people would wrongly label things in their own manners. So that brings into effect sort of a key management point, and one of the key performance indicators of a good manager is managing their staff and knowing their staff's traits, knowing the things to look out for, and knowing how to handle the situation when these things arise. Also, there's things sort of in the UK, we've got the Health and Safety at Work Act, and things like these cover these illnesses and help them become more prevalent in everybody's mind and create a little bit more job security, because previously mental health would be seen as an issue to some people, and because they didn't understand it, they wouldn't be able to handle it, and that could be, it was a reason for people to be first on the list for redundancies and things like that, and now that can't be used, which is a bonus all the time. So with the COVID situation and the increased stress that's brought on many people, which is stress is a mental health illness in itself, and then there's all the things that the other health issues that stress can lead to. A big one has been financial worry. So people not knowing when their next paycheck's coming, not knowing if their golf club's going to survive this pandemic, worrying about where their next employment's going to be, because we're in a situation of worldwide unemployment being on the rise. So are they factors that would be important, seen as important to you, and as a security blanket, knowing that because awareness is higher now, does that give you that bit more of a security blanket to help you manage your illness?
Definitely, yeah. That's, as you said earlier, before, it used to be, a bad label. Like, you could not say, I got mental illness, or I'm depressed, or like it was like a shameful subject. And now it's like very openly. And then the younger the generation goes, the more and more open we are with it. So I am one of the younger generation. So I'm already born in a better world, let's put that way. But actually, the whole pandemic brought something like we are all in the same boat at the moment. So we all have the same struggle, all have the same fear. And then I speak with a lot of course manager that they never spoke with anyone before that. And then now they feel less alone because we are all in the same boat, and they feel like they can open up with another problem because they are already in a difficult situation. They don't feel like they are that one bad person anymore. They just feel like they are part of a bigger group now. So I think it just is the good side of the whole pandemic. It brought us closer together.
And I think that side of it has, and I think we're very fortunate, and I've raised this a few times, and I know Jay feels the same, that we work in an industry that's got a worldwide community spirit, and we're all very good with our social media channels. I don't know an industry like it where so many of the people that work in it heavily use their Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn channels so heavily, and it previous to social media, it was quite a hidden industry, so you could be quite isolated. You're doing jobs where you're working a lot of lone working. So I think that team spirit that's become of the turf industry is helping people with illnesses manage these things. People are more aware, so they can bring a bit of humor in, bring a bit of time out. It's important to have a bit of time out. Important not to overwork somebody. Make their goals, make their work goals realistic and achievable. If a goal's achievable, people feel they've achieved something themselves, and that's more relaxing on the mind.
Well, what you just say is very interesting because it's hitting really close to home. When I was at the FTMI earlier this year, I was listening to Phil Helm, and then he was giving a speech, and he said when he set his goal, he used before he achieved that goal, he was already thinking of the next goal. And I was like, oh, I'm exactly the same. All my life I set goal, and as soon as I hit them, I was already going somewhere else, having another goal. And he always leave me that feeling of like I've never been accomplished. And then one of the biggest change I take is like, no, every time I set a goal and I reach it, I take the time to enjoy it, because otherwise you feel you actually never stopping, and you are self-burnout yourself by forcing yourself to get more goal where the one you already achieved, you did not even celebrate them, That was definitely the biggest change I take this year. And it had such a big impact on my mental health, definitely.
I think to kind of switch lanes for a second, and obviously speaking of primarily turf managers, but we could very well be speaking of other sales representatives too in this industry. And for me personally, we're speaking goals right now. When I was on the golf course, I had those projects. We would finish the projects, we'd celebrate, and would move on to a new project. In sales, I don't think we go a day without thinking that enough is really ever enough. We can't ever have enough revenue created. We can't ever have enough leads to be able to call on. We can't ever have that pile of accomplishment and saying, okay, we did it. And to kind of reflect on it a little bit, it's that self-satisfaction. If you can find it within yourself to say, okay, yes, I've done it, I've got there. Who is this for ultimately? And I could go off on another channel or branch, but I won't. If you're happy with yourself, if you feel accomplished with yourself, there's really no one else that can do that for you. There's no one else that can find that self-motivation for you. And it's waking up and thinking, okay, well, what do I have to get done today? It's pretty cliche, but make the bed. Make the bed. At the minute you get up, make your bed. So now you feel like you've accomplished at least one thing. And it's just those little, minor things that you can get done in your day. I kind of live by the saying, your keys could be the keys to unlock someone else's prison. So, by saying that, it's really just being open enough to share your story. And everyone has a story. Every single person on this face of the earth has a story. Even the man, on the side of the road begging, or the high level executive that's, rolling up in a Ferrari. Every single person has a story. And I'm open enough to talk to my own kids about it driving to school. And, instead of getting mad at the bus driver or getting mad at the car in front of me, even my son yesterday driving to school, we were in traffic and he was like, but Dad, everybody has a story. And so he's 8 years old and he's already starting to get that picture. Like, be compassionate, be open enough to ask a person, not, hey, how, you know, hey, good, how are you? You know, like, how are you doing today? It's something simple like that. You know, just going a little bit deeper into that other person's lifestyle and being present in the moment, being physically there, not just like a, okay, yeah, see you later, I gotta go. You know, hurry is really not what I mean. That's what we are. That's who we are. Hurry, 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 hurry. But if we don't, and we just kind of soak in the moment, I think it's a really key element to being, you know, mentally healthy. You know, obviously we're talking mental health, but mentally healthy is so many different components that I personally, you know, praise God, I don't have that, I guess, diagnosed, but there's been plenty of, you know, days, weeks, and even months where I've just been like, oh, geez, you know, got to get through today. And so if you're willing to, my big, and then I'll digress. I'll pass it back over to the Englishman. My big thing is finding that peer or that friend or that captain or that confidant that you're willing to just open up to 100% and share everything. Share your deepest, darkest secrets. And when you're ready to do that, your whole life changes, and you feel like, okay, I'm open, I'm transparent, I'm, you know, this man, woman, you know, boss, whoever it is, you're going to be that much more grateful for it. So
yeah, I definitely agree with you. If I want to use my personal story, I'd say for 3 or 4 years ago, I actually felt like down the road, and I could not reach to anyone. I could not, you know, even reach to my own partner, and then because I felt like something would change after that. So I actually reached to another course manager, and then which was a friend of me, and then he was like, "Hey, look, I have that struggle. I can't do it." And then he was the one picking me up, like to say, "You can do it. I'm here for you," and things like that. And then so after that, it took me 3 years of talking with him to actually say, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the doctor now and to get a proper diagnosis." So now I got my diagnosis, and then I opened up on Twitter with that, on Facebook, and I said I will never shut up with it. And then I got more and more often now text from course manager or other greenkeeper on the world that say, "Hey, you post actually make me feel like I can talk to someone. Like, can I talk to you?" So yeah, I listen to everybody that talked to me. And last week I got a text from someone, and he said, "Hey, I'm struggling so much. I can't even speak to my wife about that, you know." I'm like, "You are the only person I can speak to, like give me a bit of breath." And then, so I think we're lucky in the industry that we are already like one big family in the greenkeeping industry. And then sometimes it's easier for us to speak to colleagues because first they understand the struggle, and then it's rare, but they are not that close. When you have someone too close to you, your fear of change. If you speak to someone you are not that close, you know, it won't impact direct you in your life, in a day-to-day life. But that person is close, is your industry family, you know, so we still listen to you, be ready to help you. And then I really think that's what make our industry so strong, and that's what make me taking care of myself in the first place, you know. And then that's something really important for me in the industry. And then like we are much more aware of, like, we can talk about it, you know. Like last week was the World Day of Mental Health, and I post about it, like if I was posting any other tweet, because for me it became so normal, and I want that to be normal for everybody too.
And I'll share a bit of my story. I suffer with awful anxiety, really, really, really awful anxiety, to the point that when I have an attack of anxiety, I let it build rather than accept it straight away, because you don't notice it. You let it build up and build up and build up and build up, and then all of a sudden it's out of control. It's a very short story that will highlight, especially to Erwan, about how bad it can be. Sort of 3 or 4 weeks ago, I went on a long drive across Germany to a very, very beautiful golf course. We installed some source gate sensors. The drive over there was long, very tiring, which is the first trigger that brings on a lot of attacks of anxiety and it increases the effects of many mental health illnesses. I had a great time when I was there. We put them in, we had some fun. Then the following day, driving back across Germany, I started to feel a bit rough. And I said to my partner, I'm not feeling too good. And straight away, she noticed it was my anxiety. But even with my partner's support, I still let it overtake me. And what happens, I usually end up driving to an accident and emergency department, which is what we did in Hamburg. Went in, feeling awful. You think you're having a heart attack and all sorts of things. The moment I walk through the door and register in any sort of medical centre to say, this is how I'm feeling, I think it's bad. All of a sudden, it's like someone's lifted a huge weight. And then you feel a fraud because it's sort of, you just felt like your life was in danger because these attacks are overcoming you. But the moment you're in a sanctuary where you know everything's going to be detected and it's just whoosh, it's lifted away, and then you feel bad because you're wasting the time of the health services. But it's the first time in Germany a few weeks ago. It was the first time where the actual medical staff made me feel stronger about it because they wanted to do all the normal heart tests and things like that with ECG. Blood tests that showed me I was fine. They wanted to really cement in that I was all right. And I was apologizing, saying, I'm really sorry. I feel bad. I've wasted your time. And they were, look, never apologize. Never apologize. Anxiety and things like bipolar, depression, personality disorders, they're all unrecognized. And the more people reach out to health professionals, the more they'll get understood, because they're not fully understood by the professionals now. And it needs people to reach out and never be embarrassed to reach out. We're on here talking about it. There's 3 guys here that would never turn a call away from anyone that gets in touch with us just to talk. And so it's sort of a few little things that I do daily to try and handle this anxiety. And I'm sure a few of these will be really relevant to you as well, Erwan. And I accept my emotions. It's sort of, if I'm feeling sad, look at why I'm feeling sad. If I'm feeling upset, be upset. If you need to cry, cry. Don't bottle emotions up. Just let it out. Let people see what your emotions are. Every day I try and take a risk because I think adrenaline is one of the greatest drugs in the world, and it keeps you firing on, and it can sort so many situations. And you get the adrenaline by taking a risk. Live in the present. Don't worry about yesterday. Don't worry about tomorrow. Obviously, we've got a plan. Yesterday you can't change. Tomorrow you can. So if you live in the present, tomorrow will look after itself. And every day find something to laugh at, because it's important to see the humorous side of life. And just on an ending note, Erwan, have you got a message for the people that you'd just like to put over as a bit of an ending note before Jay summarizes for us?
Well, I'd say the classic, it's reach to somebody, even if sometimes it's easier to reach to someone you're not that close. So reach to me. There's a lot of, in the greenkeeping, there's a mental support group on Facebook that like people will be more than happy to help you. Don't be afraid to talk about it. Talk to your partner, because that's the one that can help you on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes talk to your course manager. Sometimes talk to your employees as well. Just talk about it, because that's the first step, and the next step will go on itself.
Brilliant. Thanks, Erwan. Jay?
Well, we're talking groups here. There's a tremendous group called Turf Warriors for Him, and Turf Warriors for Him is a tremendous. It's a faith-based group, but started by a awesome man named CJ Coy, and it's a tremendous outreach opportunity. If you're feeling like, hey, I need somebody, I need a group of folks to just talk to and chat over my situation. I'd say, anyone probably knows this, but nighttime is the darkest time, and not just because there's no light, but because you've had a long day. You've had a hard day. You're going over everything that went wrong and figure out, okay, how do I get better the next day? And sometimes you lose sleep over it. And it happens to me all the time. So even if you're in those weird, Germany English hours, and you're 6 or 8 hours ahead of me, that's a good thing, because that means I'm probably still wide awake. Reach out to me, even if it's late at night and you want to get a hold of me, or any one of us, I think, for that matter, on Twitter or WhatsApp, through email, whatever it is. Know that this group here, this threesome group here, Turf Tech Live, is more than willing to help out in any regard. And don't ever feel like you need to be apologetic. Don't ever feel like you're in the wrong. And sometimes all you need to do is talk it out, and we're in here to listen to. I really appreciate you guys. We could probably go on for days on this topic, and we will. Mental Health Day World Mental Health Day was, more or less honored or mentioned on one specific day, but it doesn't have to be just one specific day. It can be every single day. It's being in the present, aware that your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, anybody around you could be going through something that they don't want to share with you. And it's not our job to pry or get that out of them. It's our job to be there and listen. It's our job to be an arm, a shoulder, an ear, a phone call. And that's what our job is as humans, I think, is what we're supposed to be doing. So
that's so true. We can't force them to speak to us. And speaking to someone is scary. So what we can do is to offer them a safe zone where they're not vulnerable. That's the most important. Offer to someone else a safe zone.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we just, in the hustle and bustle, people are like, oh, geez, that person's really busy. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to burden them. And I think it's a pretty good takeaway, is to always just be in the moment and be present, and know that if you're going through something, then somebody else is probably going through something too. And if you don't think you have any problems, well, then that's your problem. So on that note, we'll close here. And thank you guys for joining on this very, very, very important topic. And we may just, bring it back up again and pay the honor to this topic. So guys, enjoy the rest of your day. I have a very, my day is just getting started here at 10:30 in the morning. So I know you guys are winding down, especially Erwan. It's brilliant to catch you when it's still light outside. And Adam, always a pleasure.
And GJ. Cheers.